word though. It said there's brother. I think in the same going on. It says, but you can extract it from a stranger. According to the law, you can extract from a stranger, but the people that's writing these laws are Jewish people.
Right.
So they consider us goyim.
Exactly.
So they can extract the usury or the interest from us.
Right.
But according to the scripture, you ain't supposed to do that to your brother.
Right. Like, okay, the term that they call it, they are financing, right? Yeah. Financing you for the mortgage lender. They call it lending. Now in the street, they call that loan sharking. You can go to jail for loan sharking. But what these motherfuckers do, lending, and they're a lender, right? He's a lender, so that's totally legal. But in the street, okay, oh, you need 30,000, all right? Okay, you take this 30,000, you owe me 60.
Right.
That's how motherfuckers in the hood do. A loan shark, or something gonna get broken. And this shit keep getting broken, it ain't doing nothing. So you know what? Your mama gotta go. Yeah. See, that's gonna get you more than breaking your knee or your ankle, because evidently it ain't working. You know what I'm saying? It ain't working. So that's loan sharking. So that's illegal, but it's legal for them to bleed the shit out of you. You know what I'm saying?
They do the same thing with cars too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, because me being in the towing business, man, I come across that shit all the time. You get a simple ass Jake. He go out, he buy a car, he can't afford it. The minute you ride off the lot, it depreciates. You go ahead, you put rims on it, all kinds of stupid shit. Then I tow the car. I write you a letter, tell you, come get the car. The bank says, wait a minute, we own the car. Right. And then if you write the bank a letter, in a certain period of time, you gotta write them a letter. So listen, we have this car, this is what you owe us. Some banks will either come and lay claim to the car and take it, or they'll say, listen, you go ahead and do what you gotta do, man. We're gonna basically relinquish your rights to the car. In some cases, you could get a car just because nobody claims it, man.
Right. Oh, and those cars, they go to an auction, and they're auctioned off, and the balance that you owe on the payments on the car, if the auction, let's say you got the car for $40,000, you probably made payments, you probably paid, say, $15,000, so $25,000 is left, the car is confiscated, they sell it at an auction, somebody buys it at an auction for $17,000, the balance of that's left, which would be, what, $8,000? You still get a bill for that $8,000. Yep. Even though the car is sold and been sold at an auction.
And even though the bank writes it off their books, because they have insurance on the car. Right. So they're gonna write it off their books. Their insurance company's gonna pay them for the car in full, and they still coming after you. You still gotta pay. You know what I'm saying?
Get that in Baruch 3.
For that $8,000 balance, they still, and that's gonna be on your credit report too.
Yeah. There's Baruch 3 and 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity.
Yeah, why the fuck you don't want to get out of America, man? You fucking jakes, man. You should want to get the fuck up out of here, man. This is fucking hell, man. We are in captivity. We are under the damn devil, the so-called white man, the Edomite, according to the Bible. And all these other fucking nations got an upper hand on us, man.
Of course.
You don't want to get the fuck up out of here already, man? All right? You know, go ahead.
Esau
no, you got it.
Esau will work with them for the whole purpose of keeping you suppressed. They, them fucking heathens, they able to get loans. They get special loans, special grants. I even heard somebody was telling me that a lot of them heathens, when they come over here, they get a special tax break because they opened the business. And usually when they open the business, where is it at? Right in the black neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? You don't see none of them fried chicken joints in Edomite neighborhoods. You don't see that. You don't see no fucking Crown fried chicken or Kennedy fried chicken. You don't see that shit in Esau's neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? You don't see that.
I know it's like a lot of these Edomites, they'll come from India and get a load, open up these subways,
open up a dollar store. A lot of them have a dollar store.
Yeah, and I asked one of them one time, I was like, wait, because I see them, like, I see a lot of Edomites, they'll be driving new cars, everything else. Yeah. And I'm like, well, how you just moved from India? You've been there for like a month. Yeah. And how you able to pay for this apartment, have rent, and everything? Oh, the government gives us a loan. I said, what? See? The government gives us a loan. But you been living here for umpteen years, you can't get a loan.
Like even over where we at, that college FDU, a lot of them Elamites, them Saudi Arabians, they be getting scholarships to go to school overseas. So you know, when I grab their car, man, they be like, yeah, man, I'm going to Like, yo, I've never been able to go to college. Like, yo, it's $350, man, cash. You gotta pay me. You ain't getting no deal, man.
Yeah, these niggas go right. They basically for free, man.
Yeah, you can get a mortgage loan, you can get a loan for a car, but you can't get a loan for business. You see? So you could take out a $250,000 tab to be a doctor one day, but here it is. You want to start your own business, they run the ropes, man. You got to go to conference meetings. You know, Jake was telling me he owned the business in Harlem. He had to sit down in a meeting with a whole bunch of Edomites, and he the only dread dude there. They got to sit down to approve his loan for the business he got. So I got a scripture.
That's the same thing you're going through, right?
Oh, hell yeah, man. And listen, just because you're a Jake and you got a business, they don't want you to have a business. Because I'm going through something right now with the town over the river, and, you know, being the only minority that owned a company that told for the police, you know, they figure, well, how am I going to get rid of this guy, man? And, they tried. I mean, now it's in litigation, but they don't give a shit that you smart and you made it through there. They got safety features to catch you, man. They're not just going to let you have 10, 20 tow trucks. You know what I'm saying? They're not happy that you got 6 and you made it. They want all that shit back.
And that's what happened with Black Wall Street. See, that was like, damn near you could say right out of slavery. Straight out of slavery. The turn the 20th century was basically the year 1901.
That's it over the river.
The year 1901 was the beginning of the 20th century. So that's straight out of slavery. Jake had got to a level where they were lending to Esau.
You know what it is, man. I mean, listen,
they were lending to Esau. They were lending to Esau. They had their own airport. They had their own banks. They had their own everything. Movie theaters, the works. When Esau found out that, when Wall Street found out that they were borrowing money and dealing with niggas out there in Oklahoma, the United States Army, the United States mobilized their army and went down there and dropped bombs on them. Black Wall Street. Yeah, and they did the same thing in Philadelphia. There was a group, Philadelphia, called the Movement. And they in Philly, they got bombed in Philly. There was a bunch of Jakes in Philly. It was called the Movement in Philadelphia. And I think the thing with the Movement group, I think that happened in the early 80s. Yeah. So Jake, these niggas talking about you got to build the economic base. Jake was on that 100 years ago. Straight out of slavery, Jake was already on that. You go and get it. And what happened? It got burnt to the ground. Rosewood was another place that was prosperous that Jake's controlled down there in Florida. What happened? It got burnt down to the ground. They came in, offered the thing, oh, this guy raped the Edomite woman. He didn't rape the Edomite woman. That Edomite woman, she was a thot. She was sleeping around with them different Edomites in the town. So them Edomites were mad because them Jakes in Rosewood was doing good. Buying plots of land, they had businesses, commerce going on. They were doing good. Better than a lot of them southern fucking Edomites. So what they did, they went in there, killed them, burned it down. Burned it to the ground. That's what Esau did. So that financial base, financial what? The only way you make it, you're gonna make it is you gotta bend over to Esau.
This Baruch 3:8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us, for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all the iniquities of our fathers.
Look at that, subject to payments. You got paid for everything. You're subject to payments for everything, no matter what it is. You gotta make payments. You're making payments on a house. Hell, you're making a rental payment. You're making a mortgage payment, a child support payment, an alimony payment,
car payment.
You know what I'm saying? What's that?
Car payment, lease.
Oh yeah, car payment, lease payment, insurance payment. I mean, list goes on and on and on. Subject to payments. You got to make a payment, no matter what it is. And that child support bullshit and that alimony, that's some bullshit, man. You know? I'll call it what it really is, vagina. You know? You married this hoe and then the relationship don't work out. So now y'all are separated, but now you gotta pay some fucking alimony. Look, that's the consequence of leaving me, bitch. You got your freedom to go. You know what I'm saying? But now you gotta pay some fucking vagina money to this fucking bitch. And child support too. Because if you got kids, oh man, you getting, they giving it to you right up with no Vaseline. Alimony and child support. And she's sucking and fucking another dude, and you paying for it. In the house that you bought, in the car that you paid for, on the sheets that you paid for. So like on the bed you paid for, eating the food that you paid for. That's crazy. Hey, so you can see how a motherfucker flip out and kill a bitch.
Exactly.
Think about it. Hey, think about OJ. Yeah,
that's going on with Rob China. Rob China and Rob Kardashian and Black China. Like, bitch took him to the cleaners. Fell in love with a stripper. And next thing you know, she got a dude in a Versace suit laying up in the bed that Rob Kardashian paid for. So I mean, it happens daily. You know, Rob would eat him like he still.
Finish that up, man.
Start at the top. Baruch 3:8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us, for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payment according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our power.
Departing from the Lord, now we're subject to payments. You know what I'm saying?
This is Deuteronomy 28 and 48. It says, Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee.
God, jump to 12.
Count, okay.
12 and 13.
Deuteronomy 28, 12?
Yep, 13.
This is Deuteronomy 28 and 12. The Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai shall open unto thee his good treasure, set heaven to give the rain unto thy land in its season, and to bless all the work of thy hand, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. And the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail.
Look at that. Because the borrower is subject to the lender. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord gonna set us up where we're gonna be the landlords. We're gonna lend to people, but we're not gonna have to borrow from nobody. That's the whole thing. Not wanting to borrow. Have your own. Guess what? We're in a situation where you gotta borrow. Because if you're trying to make moves and do certain shit, you're gonna have to borrow. That's why you got niggas out there in the street, you know, they out there trying to live that street life. Because they trying to get that fast money and get you 30, 24 with an L. Bullet in your head, 24 with an L, get you dead. Quick.
Yeah, testimony, I was online and a dude I know just got home about 5 months ago. Nigga did a bid about 3 years. And he come home and I didn't realize how fast they get this money. He's showing on Instagram 20 racks. 20 racks just came home 5 months ago. I didn't notice how fast, you know, you hear about it, how fast Jake be getting his money, man. 20 racks and counting it online.
Being a wicked nigga, that's a dumb nigga.
That's a
dumb nigga, man.
Yeah, dumb nigga. What are you doing on Instagram?
He's going right back. He's going right back.
It says, and the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. If that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy power, which I commanded thee this day to observe and to do them. And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left, or to go after other gods to serve them.
That's why we under these curses. And that's a detailed explanation of what would happen if we kept the commandments. We'd be above all these nations. Because the Heavenly Father doesn't deal with equality in the world. We was meant to rule over people, man, not the other way around. But now it is 2018, we hear it being ruled over.
Hey, matter of fact, that was the Dr. brought up Black Wall Street. That's what we was doing in Black Wall Street, lending it to these Edomites, man. but you see how the Most High worked, though, right? Because you can't escape the curses, man.
Exactly.
And Black Wall Street was like a little glimpse of escaping the curses. And what happened? Most High had Esau fucking bomb Black Wall Street, man. You know, do away with it, level it to the ground. Which, of course, Esau is, wicked for doing what he's doing, but showing that you cannot escape the curses of the Most High, man. We gotta pay for what we did, what our forefathers did. We gotta pay. We gotta pay. That's why we in the condition we in. We not giving Esau, hey Esau, here you go. It's 50,000. You pay me back on interest, whatever. We not doing that. We're asking Esau. Matter of fact, you was about to get it, right? 28 and 48 or something.
Yeah, this is Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things.
Man, in want of all things, man.
Damn.
I was getting into it. You want a car to get to work. You gotta go to Esau for that, man. You can't just go cash. Yeah, I want this. I like this. I want that. You gotta go to Esau. He's gonna add that interest on it, man. And I heard, huh?
He's gonna put his fee in it.
Yeah, interest. You paying double for what you would have been paying if you just had the money to buy it in the first place, man. In the long run, Same thing with a house. Same thing with a rent. You paying rent for $1,000 or whatever, $1,000 a month. By the end of the damn year, you already paid $12,000 on the house. I mean, or somebody else's shit. If you had $12,000 to begin with, you could have put down on your own house, man. Yep. You say, hey, man.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, for you, African niggas, what car brand is made from Africa?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Let's be realistic. You got Volvo, you got the Toyotas. I mean, none of that shit is made by
German, Japan.
Yeah, what car did the Africans get?
All these. I mean, come on, man. For you, Wakanda, you African niggas. Of course,
you go to Africa, you try to look for a fucking Wakanda. Guess what? You ain't gonna find it. You dummy.
Ain't no Wakanda mobiles.
Ain't no such thing as Wakanda. This shit is a figment of your imagination.
Them Hamites will probably eat your ass when you go over there.
Yeah, you're gonna end up with the pygmies.
You know what? You going over there trying to work. Them motherfuckers is fighting each other for employment and shit.
Yeah.
So you going over there?
End
You
up in
coming from the
Hotel
US? You
Rwanda.
going over there?
Hotel Rwanda.
I mean, they'll give you the my brother. You're my brother because you're spending that US green.
Yeah.
Okay, you're spending that green with them, but when now you become competition. Now it's time for Hassan Chop. Now. You know what I'm saying? Now you go from being a spender to competition. There's a whole different ballgame now. Because they ain't competition with each other. Because everything is scarce over there. They're not scarce in resources.
Right.
Esau got it set up where they just dirt. Esau got it set up.
You got money going over there as a business partner, whatever, they're gonna kidnap you. You or Jacob living in America, coming over there, flossing, whatever, and they think you got money, they're gonna kidnap you. And they gonna, if you don't make the ransom, they're gonna chop your head off.
Yo, as a matter of fact, more recently, my mother-in-law passed over there, and I was supposed to take a trip, and one of my family members from England, she heard I was gonna go. She called me up, was like, yo, I got somebody in the army, and he could, just escort you around. So it's like they convinced me I'm gonna be okay. She's like, no. You're not gonna be okay.
Somebody from the army gotta walk around.
Bro, that's a sign right there in itself. Don't even fucking go, bro.
Do not go.
Africa is out of the fucking goddamn picture. Don't go.
Yeah, that's and the land back too on what the elder was saying. That's why the thing is South Africa is brewing up about their prime minister declared that land grab from the people. Because 80% of the white population, I mean, it's 20% of the white population, but they own 80% of the resources.
South Africa?
South Africa.
Like fucking them up over there, right?
And that's like that everywhere. You know?
Yeah, it reads, it says, it's almost done. It says, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
And that's a curse. That's the curses of the Israelites, man. That's what Moses spoke to the children of Israel. And that only happened to Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans.
That's it. It ain't happened to the so-called Jewish people. They wasn't put on those slave ships and sent around no damn.
Exactly.
Matter of fact, they financed and they owned them slave ships that Jake was being put on and brought all over the world. Or really brought here to the Western Hemisphere. From Portugal and Spain and from West Africa over here to the Isle of Cape Verde. That's out there in the Atlantic. The Cape Verdean Isles. You got the mainland. Then you got Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, Trinidad, and Brazil.
I got something. Joel, read verse 4. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return a recompense upon your own head? Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly and pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold to the Grecians, that you may remove them far from their border. Yeah, that happened in history. Joel, that was prophetic. And believe it or not, man, a lot of the Africans out there, the true Africans, the Hamites, some of them live really good, man. Not all the Africans are poor. They live good off of the slave trade. That's old money, man.
Got it.
They still got old money. The Palestinians, Dubai. How you think they built up Dubai, man? Where that money come from? They're from the slave trades, man. Yep. That was big business. That was big, booming business. It wasn't one or two Negroes that was pulling the boats. We talking about as long as this damn park is, it was boats, man, full of our people, man. And we was all getting free labor for it, man. Jewish people financed it, and we worked for well, how many years? 200 plus years for free labor?
Also, them fucking Jews, they insured that shit too. Yeah. So they get certain cargoes of Negroes, and they were selling slaves. They would basically shipwreck the ship and get paid for the cargo, man. You got an inferior cargo, they would sink the goddamn ship. They wicked as hell, man.
They do that today. They burn down the stores, buildings, and stuff like that. Same shit.
Yeah, that's what they did during 9/11. That was an insurance scheme, you know, to take down the towers. They wanted to build a new building. On top of that, they got insurance money from it, man.
Most of all is to issue the Patriot Act too. Yeah. You know, to label all American citizens as terrorists. Yeah. Which of course, you know what the brother said had to do with it, because these damn Edomites, they're greedy. You know what I'm saying? They want more. They're increasing their wickedness, their riches, man. But you know, ultimately to label all you American citizens as, you know, domestic terrorists, man.
Now that scripture that brother he had just read, I want you to read that again, brother.
Joel 3, verse 4.
Joel 3, 4. Yea, what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return a recompense upon your own head? Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and I have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things.
That's right.
The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians.
Right, now check this out. This is called slavery in the Arab world.
Oh, I gotta get that book.
Now here on page 2 it says, I'm gonna just read here and read down into it, the point. It says, countless volumes have been written about the transatlantic slave trade that resulted in the greatest forced transfer of people from one continent to another. The roots are all too familiar, so much so that every school child in the West has at one time or other learned about the triangular trade. This followed a course that originated in one of the many ports and inlets along Africa's sinuous west coast. It was at such places as Comenda, Shama, Elmina, or Lagos on the dreaded Bight of Benin that captains of slave ships would cast anchor and stand off, waiting weeks, sometimes months, for their full complement of Negroes, or, as it was commonly referred to, waiting to be slaved. Innocent victims of a system they could not begin to comprehend. These misfortunates were either seized in early dawn attacks on villages by raiding parties or sold by avaricious African middlemen and then marched in fetters to the coast where they were bartered for the white man's artifacts.
There you go. What's the name of that book?
Here. Screenshot it.
The white man's artifact.
Screenshot it.
Put it on the camera. Get it on the camera. I got you.
Yeah, you dropped it? But it's
No, you go ahead.
Hey, Salaki Elder, where was you reading from again? Can you remember?
Page 2.
Page 2, okay.
Page 2, like probably the second paragraph down on page 2.
Slavery in the Arab World, Murray Gordon.
Joel 3 verse 6. The children also of Judah.
Take a screenshot of it.
So notice.
You already got it?
Notice the book said Notice the book said Raven and Africans
avaricious African middlemen. They were the middlemen.
They were the middlemen.
That's the point. They were the middlemen.
So they did business with the Arabs to sell to the so-called white men.
Esau, they tell you the ships didn't come into the inland because they'd get caught in the rocks. So they had to stay out in the water where it was deep enough so the ship could sit in the water. So you had to have smaller boats come in to the inland. So they was putting us on the small boats and take the small boat out, then you get put on the big boat. So that they stayed anchored out at sea right there close to the coast, but not too close because then they get lodged in them rocks and the ship ain't going. So they couldn't come all the way in.
Yeah, so I'll read that.
So he read that about they were have you sold the children of Judah and Jerusalem to the Grecians. And that's talking about the actual Greeks. That's not talking about Greeks when you read in the book of Acts and you see the word Greek. The word Greek in there is talking about an Israelite, a Hellenist. That's not talking about the same Greek right there that the brothers read in there in the book of Joel. It's talking about Edomites. Yeah.
Right, from Aisha.
Yeah, it's the definition of Grecian for you idiots out there. Related to ancient Greece, especially of its architecture. So who ancient Greeks? Greece, the so-called white man. Chiefly, you know a name by the guy Alexander the Great, which is a white boy, which is renowned now. So the scriptures back in Joel time had clearly, he prophesied what would happen to our people. The Arabs and the Africans got together to round us up, man. Judah and Jerusalem.
And that's who the prophetic Tyre and Zidon is.
Yeah.
Because now
they got a map here, and on the map they show you where Jake was brought to, from where and went to where.
If you can zoom in, if you can, when when able. I'll hold it. I got you.
That was the scattering about.
See it right there? You see what it shows you on the map? It shows. You see it shows Brazil, right? It shows a big contingent of Jake going to Brazil. It shows.
Oh, okay. It's this one, Salakia. All right, yeah, Salakia.
See the map right there?
Yeah, this one right here. Yeah.
A lot of the southern chapters of Brazil, huh?
Yeah. It's a lot of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi in Brazil.
Probably the majority.
And they're the ones that's there, that's the poor ones, that's in the favelas. That's Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, man. That's why Capoeira, that's how Capoeira came down there. Because they brought it with them from West Africa. That's where Capoeira came from. It came from West Africa. It did originate in Brazil. The slaves that came to Brazil from West Africa brought that with them.
Yep, there it is. Yemen is right here. That's
I mean,
that's why Yemen goes through that bullshit.
Yep. I know. See my video on it?
That's recent?
Older.
I might have. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
send it on the group chat.
Isaiah 51 verse 22. Thus saith thy Lord, the Lord, in thy power that pleadeth the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of thy hand the cup of tribulation, even the dregs of the cup of my fury. Thou shalt no more drink it again. That's talking about the slavery, the afflictions. But I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee, which has said to thy soul, bow down, that we may go over thee. And thou hast laid thy body as the ground and as the street and to them that went over. And that happened with Jake, man. Now you got the situation in Libya, which they swept it under the rug. You got our people being sold as slaves to the Palestinians. But then you have a nigga on the college campus talking about free Palestine. Oh, fuck these Palestinians. Out there in Libya, it was a big thing last year that they was protesting for Libya. Why? Because the Palestinians